A very good afternoon, March. Thanks for joining us here on the program. This is Trending News. I'm Nancy Nelima, ready to bring you stories that are making headlines and trending at this hour. You can also catch this live broadcast across all the social media platforms at Lookuptv on Facebook, Lookuptv on Twitter, and Lookuptv on our YouTube channel. Let's begin. At least 70% of Kenyans across 25 counties perceive the health sector to be corrupt in its service delivery. This is according to a new survey released by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, EACC, that shows corruption is one of the top 3 key concerns in the country after unemployment and poverty. Cabinet Secretary Susan Nahumicha says her ministry has already begun implementing reforms to better the healthcare sector, adding that the recommendations given by the EACC will also be factored in.
The Global Corruption Report of 2011 indicated that Kenya's healthcare system was affected by conflict of interest, lacking accountability mechanisms, and of course there was challenges of transparency, professionalism, abuse and misappropriation of funds. Our own surveys, again as I mentioned, has consistently talked about the Ministry of Health as ranking as one of the top institutions on the anti-corruption index. Several reforms we know have been pursued in the sector to, for example, enhance public procurement and financial management accountability. There has been persistent, but we still see persistent corruption and unethical practices in these areas. So there was need for us to have an in-depth understanding of the extent of corruption and unethical practices in the sector, much more specifically focusing on procurement and financial management. We carried out this.
You heard me here commit that I'm going to read it word for word, page by page. And equally committed that once I have read, I will speak to the chair so that we get to sit down and prepare a roadmap of our corrective action and work together with him to ensure that we rid my ministry of the allegations and of the things that are there. If within the report there are specific names of specific officers, I will deal with them. And you have seen that I am already dealing with some of them. Thank you.
And that story will be coming to you in details in our subsequent bulletins at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Moving on, President William Ruto has called on Pan-African parliamentarians to take up an active role in discussions aimed at finding local-based solutions to global climate challenges. The head of state has also implored Africa's heads of state to address balance of trade to shift benefits towards the African continent, including ensuring huge investments in production to enhance exports earnings and creation of additional job opportunities.
I want to encourage I am persuaded that our generation of African leaders has the historic mandate to retire this unhelpful profile and in its place articulate a more accurate and compelling portrait of Africa that is both faithful to fact yet also developmentally inspirational. Through this fundamental shift, we have the opportunity to empower and mobilize our people to drive transformation, attract investment, and inspire partnerships and collaborations across the world. I see a tremendously decisive role for yourselves as members of the Pan-African Parliament, since you represent the voices of Africans on all issues pertaining to every sphere and sector of individual and collective endeavor. Please don't let us down. The need to urgently undertake fundamental shift in understanding Africa's global role is overwhelming evidence on the subject of climate change. At the moment, conversations about climate change in Africa focus on the fact that Africa Africa's contribution to global greenhouse gas emissions is minimal, at between 3 and 4%, yet the impact of consequent climate change on our people is huge. This discourse also mainly focuses on the questions of compensation for loss and damage,